When the 1960s come to mind for most people, the popular culture and social upheavals of the time are the first thing that we think of. It was a time of rock and roll, public figures changing the Western world and our cultures, impurity becoming mainstream, and of course, it was the beginning of Americans becoming truly disenchanted with their government. It was a magical time, and people often forget that it was also a time of duck and cover, people building weird shelters in their backyards, and a general fear that gripped the people of the U.S. and the West that at any moment their leaders might decide that now was the time to end civilization by launching a pointless and cataclysmic conflict with the other side in the Cold War. Yes, it was truly a magical time, and we're now reliving it, but the difference now is that we're not really being told about it by our leaders. For this short episode of End Times Watch, short because, again, I'm battling an illness and trying to preserve my voice, I have to speak cautiously about this subject because of who it involves and what it might entail, but you're going to get the picture. So we go to the Middle Kingdom, which is the gift that keeps on giving. I can't show you the images here because of the sensitivities of our lovely overlords, but I bookmarked the source and will put it in the pinned comment on YouTube. What we have is news that the totally free, totally open leadership of that place has decided to have the population start practicing the sort of drills that were commonly practiced in the U.S. in the 1960s, including drills to seek cover and shelter in the event of a nuclear conflict. Yeah, you heard that right. The Middle Kingdom is now engaging in the kinds of drills that are only done by governments when they expect the worst to happen. My sources has footage of posters being put in public that provide these instructions to the public, and they're not much to look at, to be honest, unless you speak the local language, but they do provide, in that language, clear instructions of what to do if the signal is given. This comes amid the fact that their government and the U.S. government have been in nuclear disarmament talks, all while both governments send fleets of ships into contested areas of the sea, including near that country that the Middle Kingdom does not recognize, but that the U.S. government has not only recognized but also stated that they will use full force to defend if provoked. Of course, that government has bigger things to worry about, with the country experiencing historic flooding that is not being reported widely on outside the country, nor is the condition of that country's famous dam one built to withstand historic floods, or so the government engineers bragged, but is now on the verge of collapse, putting at risk more people than the entire U.S. population combined. The civil engineers for that country had been warned for decades that what they had built was not only poorly designed, but doomed to fail eventually. Yet they persisted. Why? Because of the nature of that government and the fact that it is the least free society probably on Earth, save for its tiny neighbor run by the closest equivalent to a supervillain. The authorities issued a yellow alert and have evacuated 40,000 people, but if that dam collapses, then all bets are off. It would be the worst accident in history. I mean, we are talking about an affected population greater than that of the United States by a good 20-30%. There is the argument being proffered by observers of that country that the use of shelters and propaganda is merely to distract the population from the widespread flooding, but to me that seems doubtful when put in the context of massive naval operations that are currently underway. It seems that the powers that be of that country are preparing for something terrible. Of course, no one wants that, and I'd like to be wrong, and I really hope that I am. But who really knows? These reports come from normal people who go to great lengths to get footage out and into the hands of people who can report on it safely in the outside world. The opinion makers won't talk about this, partially because of the investments that the government has made in all of them, but also because they're too wrapped up in the political theater going on in the United States right now. Yes, all this silly things going on in the American political scene might actually be dangerous for all of us in the long run. Go figure. It would be best to pray for the situation in that country and for peace, but let me know your thoughts on this below. Again, I'm keeping things very short due to this cold that I have. Thanks for listening. I'm Anthony Stine. Ave Maria.